everyone. Hello and welcome to the Island Podcast. I'm your host today, Ivan Grigorician. My new co-host is now Aoki. Now, hello. And our guests today are Joe Litchfield and Abbie Wood from the New York Breakers. Joe, Abbie, hello, and thank you for coming back to the Island Podcast.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
To start things off, do you guys keep in touch with any of the New York Breakers athletes outside of the British Foundation? Maybe some Americans, maybe some Russians?
Yeah, definitely. We still have like a big group chat, which is occasionally spoken in, and then me and Joe are in a chat with Lewis and Brandon Almeida.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Wow. It's going to be a little strange now, right? Especially with the draft upcoming. Some of the people are going to end up in the open pool. And how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I think everyone expected it. I think we all obviously want to be on the team next year, and everyone we hope made connections with pretty much everyone on the team. We're all friends, but you know that not everyone's going to be on the team next year. You hope that people you're closest with are going to be there, and just got to hope for that, and depending on who the Breakers pick. But if they're in the draft, they're going to be ISL. You're going to be racing against them, so it's still like another chance to obviously go there and connect and see them again. So it's just like another sort of, as much as they'll be on a different team, there's a chance that you still get to see them. But yeah, it'd be good.
Mm-hmm. Abbie, do you agree?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Like obviously, there's certain people you want to be on the same team as you, but as long as everyone's there and you just want the best for everyone, so. Yeah, there's some people I'd like to be on the Breakers with again, but obviously I can't choose a team. So.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, we're gonna see how it's gonna play out. You guys have somewhat of an impact in the draft. You guys can vote for the athlete that's gonna stay on the team.
Yeah, hopefully. I loved being on the Breakers last year, so I definitely would want to be on it again.
When is the draft?
The draft is going to take place probably end of May, beginning of June.
Okay.
Oh.
Guys, recently you had a meet in Manchester, and I believe for both of you it went pretty well. Abbie, that 200 individual medley was amazing. The 2 breast was there. The 400 individual medley from you, Joe, 416 is great.
Well, no, that was Max. My 200 freestyle was my best event, I think. I think about that one. My 2 IM was okay, but Max did the 4 IM. That one's a no-go from me.
I'm so sorry. But guys, could you reflect on it a little bit? This is the first long course meet you guys had in probably more than a year, right? Or somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think last long course meet before ISL was Edinburgh, and then that was the last long course meet in Manchester. So
last
March. So I think for a lot of people who hadn't even swum at ISL, it was kind of like a big thing to actually get back into racing. But for us, it's just great to be back in. Like, we're probably one of the worst countries in the world for COVID at the moment, and they're being really safe about it. So to actually be able to get in and race was really good. I didn't think a lot of people were saying it might not actually be able to race, and for them to be able to organise it the way they did, sort it out the way they did, and actually get us in the pool to race and sort of go head to head with the best guys in the country leading into our trials was really good. And to swim the way we did, I think, in the work we've been doing was great. And I kind of wanted to swim fast, and I wanted to go there and sort of prove that I'm pretty good at long course and not just short course in this season. And I think I've sort of put a little foot there in doing that. And hopefully, if we can get another few meets in the rest of this year, long course, we can sort of improve even more.
Yeah, the meet was really well ran. It was, I think everyone was just really grateful to be there, especially since it was the first time racing long course in over a year. So I think there was some nerves because obviously, me and Joe had quite a good short course season at ISL. So I think we were really keen to back it up long course. And yeah, I think we both put out some times that we were quite happy with, and kind of show the work we've been doing since ISL. And yeah, just get some practice in before trials was really nice.
Thank you. What were the health protocols in place? Was it sort of on a bubble basis? Did you guys get tested before entering the pool? How did it work out?
Yeah, so we all did 2 tests one when we got there, and one 3 days before we went, and everyone stayed in the same hotel. And it was like one person per room, like kind of like the ISL, and or unless you like were with your households, like Joe's housemates rooms as well, so they were allowed to share a room. And yeah, everyone was socially distant, had to wear a mask at all times, right up until before you walked out. Yeah, it was really well run and everyone was really professional, which was really nice to see. And I think it just sets an example of like preparing us for how the Olympics could be. Like, so yeah, it was. I think because we'd done ISL like that the same way, I don't think it was as daunting to us, and it didn't feel weird at all. But maybe to people who didn't do ISL, it was quite new. But I think you quickly get to grips with it. Yeah, it was good.
You guys probably had a little bit of an advantage compared to other people in this meet who didn't have the ISL experience. You already knew how it's pretty much going to run, and there's nothing to stress about really. But you kind of already touched base upon the Olympics coming up. Do you envision that this is going to be the health measures that are going to be in place for the Olympics, sort of a bubble approach?
Yeah, I think it's just sort of they've got to do what they've got to do. I think there's been a load of speculation about whether it's even going to go ahead. The IOC have come out and said that they're like almost certain they want it to happen. I think it's going to happen. And like events like ISL have proven that it is possible. It's just going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of people to get it sorted, get the sort of organisation. And the bubble system works and the protocols are there and sort of set in place. ISL showed, like, I think it was the first 2 weeks people got tested. Some people were positive. They were straight away isolated. And for the next 4 weeks, I don't think anyone was positive for testing. So like, it proves that like you can do an event. It's just the Olympics is obviously heightened by about 20 times. Like it's just so much bigger than any other events. And it'll take a lot of people, but I mean, if any country is going to be good at like I think Japan are very, very organized as a nation, and I think they'll do everything in their power to sort of get it to go ahead and sort of bring all the right health protocols in they need to. And as long as everyone sort of follows those, it'll be safe, it'll be secure, and it'll go ahead sort of as normal as it can be. And yeah, I think it'll be a great event if they can really organize it and get it running.
Hopefully, right? But you have to consider there's also so much more staff involved in the Olympics, so much more officials involved, even outside of the athletes. It must be a huge bubble, like a half a Tokyo bubble.
Yeah.
But
I think that's when they'll make it like mini bubbles, or they'll end up like sort of you won't be able to mix countries at all. Like GB will be their own bubble with mini bubbles inside, and so on with all the other countries. And don't know how the eating arrangements will work, whether they'll have different dining halls, corners for different nations, but there'll be so many different things involved that they're going to try and keep nations separate. Everything like that's going to be sort of kept separate, and I think it's just going to be hard and it's going to be tough. But if they've got like they'll have the manpower to do it, and hopefully they can do it in a safe and sound way.
It would be a very different experience for you as athletes, though, right? To me, Olympics is something of a celebration of the unity of nations, the competition between many nationalities, and sort of everyone getting together. With these bubbles in place, it's probably going to be very different, right?
Yeah, I think the name of the Olympics is big enough for everyone to still want to do it. Like, I don't think anyone would say no, just because there's obviously going to be a lot of rules in place. And especially now it's been pushed back here, I think everyone will just be really grateful that it's running at all. I know I definitely will be. So yeah, if it means that we have to have all these rules in place, I think it's definitely worth it for all the athletes that have been waiting for so long. We'd go with anything put in place, really.
Yeah, I think with that, like like obviously there is a social side to the Olympics. There's sort of a fun side. There's a happy, like you go there to celebrate opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies. You go and watch other sports, but you're probably just gonna have to put that on hold for this Olympics and say, okay, this Olympics is just purely about competition. We've got to go there and we've got to swim well, do well in whatever sport you do. And then are you either, depending on how you want to do with your career, you either think, okay, well I've got another Olympics in 3 years' time. That could be a different vibe. That could be a different feel. But you just got to take what you're given really, and sort of think, okay, this Olympics is going to be go there just to compete, and there's no other really side to it. But I'm sure everyone's going to be down for that. Like, it is the main part of the Olympics, is to go there and compete and swim fast, and you're just going to not have those little bonuses on top of it.
Yeah, I think it is a shame. Like, you do hear all the stories about how fun the after parties and stuff are, but I don't know. I feel like it's still worth it. Like, I feel like the whole world's kind of used to missing out on the social side for the past year. I know I feel like I haven't had a social life for the past year, so I think everyone's pretty used to it. And if it means that I can get out of my house and go to Japan for an Olympic Games, like, I'd be buzzing either way. So.
No, for sure, and it's so essential also for swimming as a sport for these Olympics to take place, because probably at least 50% of swimming fans only watch the Olympics as a swim competition, and just to think that there's an 8-year gap between the last Olympics and the next Olympics, people are going to forget about what swimming is if this doesn't take place, or maybe, I don't know, ISL gets big, but not as big as the Olympics, obviously, in the couple of years. And yeah, it's vital for the sport of swimming for these Olympics to happen, even in just a competition format. I totally agree.
Yeah, I'd say probably the same for a lot of other sports who kind of only get their time to shine once every 4 years. So, because right now it's just like the main sports are on TV, and then not many others are really. So, yeah.
It's kind of crazy, yeah. Even with the let's say tier 2 sports, although I don't consider them tier 2, but something that's not basketball, hockey, football. It's funny because they're hosting competition right now, actually, but the things that the broadcasters are showing are just replays from previous years of the popular sports. But I guess it is more popular.
Yeah, it's one of those things like swimming. You'd probably say that swimming and like cycling, things like that, are sort of more popular than things like football at the Olympics. People, like, when they go and watch the Olympics, they think of that as like an Olympic sport, whereas you think of football as like just a sport that you watch all the time, and it sort of gives it that limelight every 4 years, and it is really good for the sport. Everyone in the sport hopes that it would be better year by year, but people just prefer to watch the Olympics and not World Championships. Something that ISL might help is the fact that it's going to sort of maybe bring more people to the sport, get more people watching it, but it's definitely something that it's definitely something that swimming needs as a sport.
Yeah, I think ISL made it quite public friendly to watch, like, even if you weren't a swimmer. Like, I know a lot of my friends who don't swim, like, they find it a lot more interesting to watch. So yeah, I think the way ISL was broadcasted was really good.
I think the scoring is still kind of ambiguous to the average spectator, but
that was probably quite confusing.
There's just a few issues in that they need to.
Yeah, but it's still
explain to someone who has no idea about swimming. People need to sort of understand it in an easier way, instead of just saying, "Oh, this guy's won 27 points. Why has he won 27 points?"
But from another perspective, maybe points are easier to understand than, hey, this guy swam at 21.0 and this guy swam at 21.5. What does this mean?
Yeah, I think we can't, like, us swimmers got frustrated that we couldn't see the times on the telly, but no one else.
I think it's just like the jackpot rule. Like, the jackpot rule was simple once you got slightly understanding what it was. It's just at first, even when I read it at first, I was like, how is this working? What's going on with the times? But like, for someone who doesn't, because it's all related to times, if someone who has no idea about swimming, they'll be like wondering why a certain gap jackpots you this much in one race and why a certain gap jackpots you this much in another race. Like, and that would just be a bit confusing to them. So things like that just need to be like helped from the like normal public person to sort of understand how it all works. But
maybe we need a holographic red line behind the leader to show the jackpot. Yeah. Thank you, guys, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into your swimming journey right now, especially considering this is our second podcast, and this is my opportunity to get to know you guys better as swimmers and as human beings. So let's start it with, what actually brought you guys into swimming? How did you get started?
You go.
Am I good? So my parents mainly got me into it. I think when we were kids, I must have been 2 or 3. They just like sent me to learn to swim. So obviously swimming's a great life skill. So at first it started out as purely just you need to learn how to swim because it's something it would help you with life. I think when I was about 6 years old, we were like, okay, he's not too bad at this. Took him to a club, and then it just kind of escalated up from there. And sort of as I think when I was around quite a young age, I used to swim in circles, but eventually I sorted it out and I was swimming in straight lines. So they took me to a club, and it went up from there. I just sort of went from stride to stride. My brother, obviously being as good as he was, motivated me to want to do that. I was always very competitive. I always wanted to beat him, and I was always just very sporty. Like I'd do any sport. I was the guy who loved sport in school. And swimming, I just sort of had like a knack for it. And then obviously when I got older, you sort of develop the love for it more. And as you sort of get the success, it just comes with it, and it sort of keeps me going. And that's what's driven me over the years. And I assume it's something similar with most swimmers. But that's kind of how I got into swimming and how I've sort of kept going.
Yeah, well, mine was pretty much the same. Mine, maybe it was a bit different. My sister used to swim. Well, my sister got into swimming because my mum used to swim. And then so my sister got into it, and then I kind of just had to like go and watch because obviously there's no one at home to look after me if like my parents and my sister were at the pool. So I just kind of tagged along and watched, and then I just started to get bored. So then one day I got asked if I wanted to join in. And my mum used to help coach. So I kind of just jumped in one day and kind of just stuck at it really. And then same with Joe and Max. Like me and my sister just kind of did it together. I wouldn't say we were competitive because I think I'd almost be too scared to compete against her. Like we were very opposites in our swimming. Like I preferred breaststroke and she preferred backstroke, and and then when she quit, I kind of just stuck at it on my own, and so it for me quite similar to Joe, really.
Siblings, okay. Do you guys remember the specific like time or maybe event when you guys fell in love with swimming?
Probably my first. I don't know. Probably like getting my first national time. I remember that really well, and I think on the same day I got asked to join like our county's club. I got an invite to join the performance county club, and I think then I was just like, this is what I want to do now, and I've probably had my ups and downs since, but I feel like that was the first time like I really enjoyed it.
Was it like the reward after all that hard work? You finally get that national time, you get invited to a club, or was it more like, I don't know, or is it more of something you really like to do and you like the activity of swimming itself? Do you understand where I'm going with this?
I think it was the activity itself, and probably when I first got asked, like England have like school games, and I remember that was like my first team I was asked to like represent so I think that was it as well. But I think it was, I don't know, maybe it was the excitement of being asked to like do a more interesting competition. I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Abbie. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I think first time I really like thought about like, so a lot of like when I was younger, like I just hated to lose. Like I really like was really like bad at losing. Like if I lost, I'd hate it. I'd really
still are.
I'm not quite bad. I used to be really bad. But like when I got my first national time, I think I was like 11. So I was like, okay, I've made nationals, and it was like such a huge thing at the time. And I think that's when I started to sort of think, okay, swimming could be something for me. And I think when I first really like thought, okay, this could be it, and I sort of fell in like sort of love with the sport and really wanted this to be my life, was when I was probably 15 and I won my first national medal. So I remember swimming down, it was a 400 IM, I remember swimming down the last 50, and I knew I was in third place. I knew I wasn't really going to catch the guy in second. And I remember coming down the last length, and I actually had Duncan Scott in my heat, in my final, which for me at that time, I was like, oh my God, Duncan Scott is the best guy in this country in my age. Like, this is pretty insane. And I remember coming down thinking, I'm going to come third. I'm going to stand on the podium in front of everyone. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. And that's sort of when I thought, okay, this is kind of what success feels like in this sport, and I want more of it. And I think that's sort of what helped me like sort of fall in love with it. And then after that, making the juniors that I did and sort of doing what I did there and going on in the senior stage, it's just sort of building from that. I think that's probably the moment I probably really sort of felt like swimming could be a career. And
Thank you. It seems like success in swimming is a huge part of your motivation in swimming. Would you picture yourself swimming if you weren't as successful?
I don't actually. Like, I think I have I think there's a social side to swimming. There's a social side to swimming, and I think I'd have enjoyed a social side. But I've always said, like, if I wasn't as good as what I did and I didn't get onto like funding in GB, I think I'd have probably gone to America, because I really like sort of look at the colleges out there, the way they swim, and it's just kind of fun. I'm not saying it's not fun here, but like I think it's just something different. It's like a different experience out there, and I think that would have been a great thing to do, sort of for a fun social side of swimming. But with the success, it's just sort of a different drive, and I think it's just, you don't know unless you do it. Like, I think I've had a level of success throughout my career, so I think I've sort of just wanted more as I've gone through it, and not to sound bad anyway, but like I think I've always wanted more success, and it's sort of just something that drives my motivation. Like I said, I'm competitive, so like you need that competitive side to want to win, and I've always had that, and I think that sort of helps me in the sport. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. Out of pure interest, did you take any recruitment trips to US?
No, I got offered from a few unis, but I'd already decided where I'm going to in university in UK. So
yeah,
so I kind of wish I'd have done what a few people did, whereas they get sort of just go around, see them all, and have like a trip in America, but
and decide not to go anywhere. Yeah, that's the golden way to do it.
Yeah, I think because I moved to Loughborough at 16, and then obviously you wouldn't go to uni until 18. I kind of just put my name on like a system for fun, and then I started getting loads of messages, and then I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. Like, I'm already at Loughborough. But it was it was a really nice thought to do it. And I probably would have done it if Loughborough didn't work out for me. Yeah, I don't know where I would have ended up though. It would be quite interesting to know, but yeah, I don't know.
Different universe.
Abbie, same question though. Would you actually swim if you weren't as successful?
I think I would have swam, maybe not until how old I am now, or maybe I would have swam because we do uni in Loughborough, so maybe I would have just swam until I'd finished my degree and then gone on to a different career. But now, like, and to be honest, like that was my plan until around ISL. Like, I was kind of almost done with swimming, and I was just gonna like carry on until my degree was done, and then go on a new career path. But I think now that obviously like ISL went well, and yeah, like success, it is going to keep me going for longer than I expected. So yeah, I'd say like success does keep you going to an extent, especially when you're older, because I feel like once you get older, like the social side like maybe dies out a bit more, and it's more of a career than just a hobby. So yeah, I think it's kept me going longer than it would have if I had no success.
I think as well, it's like the funding side. I know a lot of people end up quitting just because they can't fund themselves. Like, they don't get student loans anymore. They don't.
Yeah, well, that's my issue, because I'm currently not on funding. So when my student loan will run out, I was just kind of like, I need to get a job. So yeah, without success, you wouldn't be able to afford it really, which is the case. You see a lot of stories about swimmers who have to retire when they don't want to, just because they simply can't afford to live.
There's levels to it, right? For sure, you can't support yourself if you're not successful. You can't support an Olympic training program getting ready for the next Olympics, but you can still do it as masters or join a club. Keep yourself in the swimming world involved in a way.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm quite an all or nothing person. Like, if I'm not doing it to try and train for an Olympics, I can't really imagine myself just doing it kind of not half-hearted, but like not as
recreationally.
Yeah, maybe okay. Like I do fitness when I finish, but I don't know, I'm pretty all or nothing, so I can't imagine just going back to club swimming after I've finished at Loughborough.
I think I'd swim a little bit, but I think there's other sports that I'd want to do and like sort of have fun with. Like I really enjoy basketball and football, so I think I'd join Sunday league teams or do things like that instead of sort of swimming recreation. I'd choose to do different sports recreationally because I've sort of had the swimming part, and I'd go on to try and do something a bit like different and fun.
Okay, Abbie, what about you? Would you pick up sports after swimming? I mean, the end of the career comes one day.
Yeah, probably. Like whilst when I was younger, I did gymnastics and football as well. So maybe I'd go back to like maybe not gymnastics, but I'd probably go back to football for fun, for like fitness. I don't think I could do gymnastics. I'm not as bendy as I used to be, so I don't think I'd go back to that. Yeah, I'd probably pick up football at a very club level. Like I wouldn't try and take it much further, but yeah, I'd probably give it another go.
When you say football, we're talking about soccer, right? Not American football.
Yeah, soccer.
All of our American fans are like, what? What's going on here?
No, we don't have that. We just have rugby.
Thank you. And talking about swimming being your career at the time being, what actually keeps you in swimming? What keeps you motivated, and what are your goals? Why are you in this? Sorry, that was quite of a jump, but
I think it's just everyone has like a dream. Like it's been a dream since you were a kid to make the Olympics, and I want that dream to come true. And then once that becomes a reality, hopefully this year, you've got to think, okay, where's this going now? And it's sort of like just taking that success from one thing to another. And I think this last 2 seasons that I can't give credit enough to my new coach Dave and my old coach, who's actually now my assistant coach Andy Wallace, who have fully like changed my outlook on swimming and sort of made it such a more individual based sort of sport. Like they work endlessly day in day out to sort of get plans out, get session plans out, work on different technique points. They sort of work very well together, and they sort of sometimes there could be sessions in our squad, there's 10 of us in the squad, and there could be 6 sessions going on at the same time. And it's sort of that level of effort, I think, that's sort of given me and Abbie both a big boost this last couple of seasons. And I think with Dave and Andy, like the sort of meetings you have, the sort of confidence we've built, and like with the squad members that are around us, the squad members in Mel's squad and the other side of the centre, sort of seeing all that success around us has really helped us sort of bring us up and sort of took us to that next level. And I just can't give credit enough to that. And that's probably what's kept me in the sport and sort of given me a different outlook on the sport, and really giving me sort of that sense of, okay, I can actually do this. Whereas for a long time, I'd probably say I was like, I think I made the Commonwealth Games in 2018, and it's kind of like, okay, I've made the Commonwealth Games, but this is just one step, and it's quite not an easy step, but an easier step than making Olympics. And back then, I wouldn't have even thought twice about making Tokyo. And then this last 2 years, the stuff I've done with Dave and Andy has been sort of a huge step, and it's sort of gone from, okay, you might make it, to we've got a real shot here. And for me, that's just been a huge thing, and I can't give enough credit to them for the help that they've given me over the last couple of years.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, what Joe said, like spot on, really. Obviously, like the dream of going to the Olympics is what keeps you going. But I think what I realised over the start of Corona and after this first lockdown, I got a job, and I think that really put into perspective that I don't want just a 9-to-5 job right now. Like, I think whilst you're swimming, like the novelty of having a job is something exciting, and then the novelty really quickly wore off, and I kind of realised how lucky I am that swimming is my job, and like you can do an office job the rest of your life, and I feel like I just realised how lucky I was to be able to like swim as a job, and kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's like
Listen,
making the most of our, like what we have now. Like we're not going to be this fit, we're not going to be this young forever. Like we need to sort of use it while we can and just use it to our advantage. Like Abbie said, like when it comes to the time, like you can look into getting a job, you can look into whatever career path you want to go down, but you might want to keep swimming. You might want to, especially with the ISL coming. I know a lot of people are coming back just to do ISL. It could be a sort of career path that extends your career by another 4 years just sort of because you can sort of fund yourself through it.
Mm.
And I think that's just a huge thing for everyone and helping us as well.
Yeah, I think as testing as swimming is like, just to like travel the world and meet loads of different people as a job, and then obviously have the success as a bonus, just really makes you realize how lucky you are.
Travel around the world for free a lot of the time, like it's something that you won't have to experience for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
It's huge, right? That life of a professional athlete, it's something worth, it's motivation in itself, for sure. But
yeah.
you guys both said that Olympics is a big part of your motivation in swimming. Let's say you guys make the Olympics, and let's fantasize you even podium or potentially win. Does this mean your swimming journey ends? Because that's the fulfillment of the dream, right?
You've hit your dream, then you just gotta get a new one. You just gotta think, okay, how can I make this better? Like, unless you're a world record holder, gold medalist, there's still something else you can achieve. There's or even if, like, a lot of people do that though. A lot of people get to that point of Olympics and think, okay, I've made it, and that's all they want, and for them that's fine, like that's happy. But I think what I would want, like, if I make the Olympics this year, I know the first meeting I'm gonna have when we're at the meet, my coach will be like, okay, good job. But as soon as I get back to Loughborough, he's going to say, all right, we've made it. Now what are we going to do at the Olympics? You want to go there, you want a final, you want to go there, you want to try and medal. Like, it's not just going to be, you made it, let's go swim it. You want to think, okay, what's the next step to that sort of ultimate success, which would be obviously for anyone a gold medal at the Olympics.
Yeah, I think it's like, it comes very naturally, and it just happens that like you just set new goals as you beat your others. Like, once you've like got a goal that you set that season, you don't really dwell in it a lot, and then you kind of just set the new one straight away. And I feel like the goals are kind of never ending. Like, you take someone like Adam, who's like Olympic champion, world champion, European champion, Commonwealth champion. He could think like, oh well, I've done it all, like I can quit. But no, he's like, no, right, okay, like project 57, project 56, like until he'll probably just keep going up down to project 54, and like,
be the best for the rest of his life. He wants to like keep it going.
Yeah, he's never going to be like, right, this is the last project. Like, I'm not going to try and go like 55 when I've done 56. Like, he's very good at like never settling, and I think the legacy that he's left is probably like the biggest goal of all. And like probably someone like Michael Phelps, like, I don't know, he probably set new goals as soon as he got 8 goals at the Olympics. Like, he didn't just stop after Beijing because he thought he'd done it all. So I think it's very hard to find an end. And yeah, but some people that I know have just like, they do say like, oh, I've made the Olympics, I've done what I wanted to do, like, see you later. But I don't know, you could take it 2 ways.
I think one thing, I can't remember exactly who said it. I think it was Tim Jones, who's our head team director. So he was saying something like, you just know when you want to quit, you know when it's the end. And he said, you just get to that point in your career and you'll know, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And I think until that point, you're just going to keep driving and keep wanting more success. And if you have that mindset, you're gonna have success, and you're gonna get success if you just keep going through your career.
Yeah,
Sure. But there's a difference between setting new goals and having goals versus having a dream, right? Dream is something bigger in a way. It's something you're passionate about, right?
Yeah. It's just a heightened way of saying goal. Like,
okay.
I think some dreams can become reality. Some dreams are obviously never going to become reality. But you've got to dream big. I think it's just sort of like a better way of saying, okay, this is my overriding goal. You say, this is my dream. And I could say my dream's an Olympic gold. That might never happen, but I could also say my dream's an Olympic, just making the Olympics. But I think it's just sort of a bigger way of saying goal. I know what you mean, like, anything, Abbie?
to add.
Fair enough, and I'm not pressuring you for an answer. Just was interested to hear your perspective on this, because for me, dream is more. You're totally right. It's another way of saying a goal, but it's usually a goal that is like something you strive for years and years and years and years, versus a goal is more something you set up every season, maybe every couple of seasons, maybe even every month?
Yeah, I think like you've been driving for the Olympics since actively probably since you were probably in the mid-teens, and you thought, okay, swimming's something I can do well in. But you've been swimming since the age of 3, the age of 4. So it's all been a build. It's all been a build up. So it's been 20 years in the making, potentially, to sort of get myself to that dream of being an Olympian. So,
by the way, that dream of being an Olympian, does it come from a desire of being the best at what you do, being a part of a group of people that are the best at what they do? Or is it more to say, look, Olympics is a very prestigious competition, and there's a lot of benefits that come from the status of being an Olympian? What motivation drives you guys? Is it more the side of I want to be the best at what I do, and I want to prove it, and I want to be part of the group of people that are best at it? Or is it more as I actually want to be an Olympian? I want to be part of the Olympic experience. What is it for you guys?
I think for me, it's being a part of that group of people who can say they're an Olympian. So I think the first option. I don't know about you.
I think it'd be a mix. Like, obviously, I want to say I'm an Olympian, but also, like, I want to be the best. Like, if you're not, I know there's different levels of competitiveness, but if you're not competitive, you don't want to win, you're never going to win. And you sort of need that. But then obviously everyone wants to and obviously everyone knows the perks that can come with being an Olympian. So everyone wants that, but everyone also probably needs a little bit of both, in my eyes. I think I would probably say I'd have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you for being so personal and open. It's very cool to speak about your goals and sort of aspirations in swimming. Let's focus away from this team just a little bit. There's one topic I really wanted to discuss with you guys, and that's a little bit controversial. It doesn't really exist in the world of swimming right now, but I'm still very interested to hear your perspective on it. What do you think about trash talking swimming, and should it exist? Is there a part that, do you think it would be entertaining for the fans, and do you think it's something that should be introduced? What is your opinion on that?
Maybe not introduced, like maybe it might become something that happens naturally. Personally, I wouldn't want to be involved in it, but I think I'd enjoy watching it. Yeah, I think there's good bad guys and bad guys in like other sports, and I don't know. I think I'd want to watch it, and I think it would make it more entertaining, but I definitely wouldn't want to be involved in it.
I feel like with swimming, it doesn't seem to have that same sort of trash talking vibe that you get with other sports. Like basketball, when you dunk on someone and that they look down on them and sort of just say something to them as they're on the floor, like you see LeBron James doing that and everything, like, and sort of that sort of, it sort of just comes with the sport. Whereas you never see someone finish and then start splashing the other person in the lane, sort of saying, "Oh, I beat you." Like, it doesn't really happen like that.
Yeah, maybe because it is like so fair, like because it's non-contact, like you can't do anything wrong. Like, say if I went in someone else's lane and dunked them, then they would probably trash talk me. But I feel like in swimming, like, because it is like your own lane, like you're separate, like you can't really do anything to like really annoy someone.
Listen, cyber sports and chess have zero contact, yet there's quite a bit of trash talk going on there.
Yeah. I think there's a few bits, like there's obviously rivalries, but I just feel like it's never really been in the sport. Like you saw ISL when there was that thing on Twitter with Ryan Murphy and Coleman Stewart, and that was all, I think, taken out of context, but it was sort of just something that was quite it was quite different, and it was something I'd never really seen it before, and it was like, oh my god, what's happened there? And it was all very much taken out of context, but I think
everyone loved the drama of it though. But I bet they didn't.
They've been a little bit of this before. Remember that Chad Leclerc had the T-shirt? I can't remember what exactly it said, but it was something like "I retired Michael Phelps."
Yeah.
before the 2016 Olympics.
Yeah.
There's parts here and there, but it's interesting why it's not part of swimming yet.
I think sometimes in swimming it's a lot to do with personality. Like Chad's a very out there person, sort of like that. But I think a lot of it as well is like it's a bit of banter as well. Like he's never going to disrespect Michael Phelps to an extent of like, because he knows how great Michael Phelps is in the sport. And I feel like there is always that level of respect in swimming. I think it's quite a respectful sport. And it's just, I don't really see there ever being a point where like everyone's going to be walking down to races, sort of trash talking each other, walking out with t-shirts, trying to sort of trash talk each other. But there's always that banter side, and I think that's what it more leans toward. There's always like that sort of fun side, and sort of you trash talk maybe if you know them or if you're friends or if you're just trying to get in someone's head a little bit. But it's never really too cynical like you see in boxing or something like that, because it's just a different vibe.
Yeah, I think the most trash talk you get in swimming is in training. I know we give each quite a lot of trash talk. It's quite brutal in our group with a big group of boys and 2 girls. But yeah, it does make it more fun and entertaining and funny.
Wow! So the real deal is a practice. This is when we need to rig you guys up with mics and.
Yeah, I think a lot of places have it.
Yeah, training is also, though, you're so tired, you're usually very hungry, you're kind of angry naturally, and it's easier for it to come out. I can see that.
Yeah, it's easy for us to like wind each other up, and then when some people bite, like everyone joins in on it, and it just makes it funny. There's definitely some victims in our group who get the wrath of it.
Out of pure interest, do you remember the skins race between Sarah Sjöström and Radomir Krumrjojo this season?
I feel like I may have watched it. I don't remember it.
The thing is, between round 2 and 3 of the skins race, Sarah decided to worm down fly. And I was interested, do you guys think this was a flex attempt by any chance? Or maybe some trash talk in the pool kind of thing?
Like little things like to sort of trying to intimidate your opponent. I think I read there's a similar thing. I think was it Chad at the Olympics in 2016 or 2012. He was like dancing in front of Michael Phelps, trying to like distract him because Phelps was very sort of in his zone, and Chad was trying to sort of get in his head. I don't know how true that is, but I heard that story. And I think it's sometimes just what if Sarah doing that makes her sort of think, okay, I'm getting one up on her, whereas Krumrjojo might just think, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing fly? Why are you trying to get in my head? And they sort of might see it as, okay, she's trying to get in my head and try not to let her do it. But it's all just sort of trying to be like getting one up on each other. And yeah, I'm not seeing it too much in swimming, but that is obviously an example.
I would not take it. I would not be able to do flying.
But then again, with that, like obviously, the ISL is quite fun. Like it's a fun meet. So I feel like if that was an Olympic, say if the skins was in the Olympics and it was an Olympic skins, she wouldn't be doing that, I don't think. Whereas it's sort of in a meet where there's no real sort of issue if she did lose. Like it's just a meet where she'll lose and the team probably still wins the meet. So
she did end up winning by like a second that last round, though.
Like a little flex on her just to sort of say, okay, I'm here, I'm going to beat you.
Yeah, I think ISL was more of an opportunity for like personalities to come out because that's something that definitely wouldn't happen at the Olympics. Like you wouldn't be like dancing around your block there, but somewhere like ISL, you like swimmers definitely let their hair down a bit and just had fun and just kind of went along with like I don't know, like how the meet was ran and how relaxed it was. So yeah, I would not be doing that at the Olympics.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you a couple of technique-specific, swimming-specific questions before we get to the blitz. And to start things off, Joe, in our last podcast, you mentioned that the big improvement that came in your short course performances mainly came from your improvement in the underwaters lately. And I wanted to ask you, what do you see the big trends that are emerging in sort of underwater kicking right now? Because there seems to be sort of 2 schools of thought in a way. There is the Chad Leclerc approach, or who's another good example? Even Flo Manadou. They have these short, fast kicks, and they try to get quite a bunch in. And then you see Caleb Dressel, who makes 5-6 kicks of the start, and all of a sudden he's ahead of everyone. What do you think? Where's it all going right now, technique wise?
It can change. It's different to each person. Like, I'm one who kicks quite fast, but I can also do bigger, powerful kicks, and obviously not quite as powerful as Dressel, because I think it's just the way he's practiced it. And I think if you've had that practice from a young age and you can keep that going and you can sort of find what works for you, you can find it work. I think it was Phelps who used to do on fly. He'd do big kicks, but underwater. But then on freestyle, he'd do very short and fast kicks. So people find different ways on different strokes. I know we're playing with a few things on our sort of breakout on the waters and sort of transferring fly kicks into the sort of breakout and working on different ways of maybe pushing off and gliding before we instantly start kicking. And I think if you've got that background from when you were young and you sort of got that ability, you can play around with it, because you've already got that strength, you've got that speed. And for me, I think it's just very individual, and it's great to see that, unlike Dressel, is huge, obviously, with the fact that he just absolutely dominates on the underwater kick, and it's just so impressive how he does it. And hopefully it'll bring through a lot of people in the future who will copy him and sort of bring some into what will hopefully be an even faster sport in the future. And I think it's quite exciting to see it, really. And I think, but with the whole short, big, I think it's very individualized. Obviously, you've seen how Dressel's vertical is absolutely insane. I think it's higher than a lot of the NFL players in Florida. So, all the football players, American football. And so he's obviously got that leg strength, but people like Chad might not have that. So it's sort of the shorter, faster kicks obviously work better for Chad. And it's still very good. He feels very impressive. He has great underwaters on his strokes. But yeah, I think it's very individualized. But Dressel's kind of changing the way people think about fly kicks, especially at speed.
Makes sense. I would bet you Floyd Manadou has an insane vertical jump also, though.
I'm not saying it's not bad. I just don't know how.
Yeah, fair enough.
Impressive.
Joe, and also, what is your opinion on freestyle pull butterfly kick? Do you feel like this could be the future of swimming in a way? This could be the fastest stroke, or is it too hard to combine from a coordination point of view?
I think everyone's tried it. I've tried it, but it's very hard to coordinate. It's very hard on your lungs. It's sort of hard on your muscles and your body, because you've kind of got to stay quite stiff and just constantly move. As soon as you sort of drop out of that rotation or drop out of that flow, you're just going to drown. And but I do think there's a potential with there. I'm probably not going to try it myself, but if you can get that coordination going, like you see sort of breaststrokers and who sort of like F him over with the way she sort of cocks and sort of does like a kick down, and she doesn't do a fly kick, but she sort of does that flow motion, and it's quite fast for her, and it works. And swimmers like that do other swimmers sort of do that as well. And it's just sort of changing different ways that different strokes are sort of swum. And it's good because the sport needs to always change. It can't always stay the same, and people have got to change the sport to make the sport better. So yeah, I think things like that are really good for the sport.
Thank you, Joe. Abbie, a question to you. I'm gonna sort of build into this. Do you do a lot of strength and conditioning?
Yeah, we do like 3 to 4 gym sessions a week. Yeah.
One of your biggest rivals in ISL was Yu Hashi from the Tokyo Frog Kings. And something that Tokyo Frog Kings mentioned is that majority of their swimmers have never done any strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
They've done a little bit of core workouts and stretching, but nothing like lifting weights, doing pull-ups, stuff like that. And I wanted to ask you, it seems like in sprinting events, it's not really a debate. You have to lift weights, do strength and conditioning in order to be fast in a 50 or 100. But it's not so clear cut when it comes to middle distance events. What is your opinion? Is it necessarily for success to be doing strength and conditioning and lifting to be good at 200, 400, or you can get around it?
I think it's just like different conditioning works for different people. So me and Joe actually went and did a 2-week camp out in Japan a few years ago, and they are very conditioned. Like they'll get their strength from how much pull they do, and like I know I think I can speak for both of us. Like we struggle to keep up with them on like their pull sets. Like they do a lot of conditioning in the water, which is kind of like what we make up for in the gym. Like we don't do this kind of sets that they did when we were there. Like it was really hard. We were struggling, and I think it's just a completely different way of how they train. And I think I've definitely done a lot more gym now. I've started focusing on the 200 events, and I've kind of dropped 400 medley. And it's definitely benefited me doing more gym, but for someone else, like doing more gym might make them more tired. So I think it's definitely personal preference, and I feel like I've kind of gone down a trial and error process of what works best for me. And I think now doing the 200s, like 2 to 3 gym sessions a week works for me. But someone like Ohashi, who does my kind of events, like she'll get her conditioning from the pool, and that obviously works for her because of how successful swimmer she is. And I won't say there's like an easier or hard way of doing it. Like I wouldn't think like, oh, she's lucky, like she swims fast because she doesn't have to do gym. Like she works, like does just as hard conditioning in the pool and her strength. So I don't think there's like an easy option. And yeah, I think it's just personal preference. And I feel like I've only just like figured it out myself. And for her way of doing it is no gym. Yeah, but I wouldn't say I'm jealous that she doesn't do gym, because I could not do some of the sets that she probably does, with like all the pull and stuff. So yeah.
Just thinking about accounting for the strength and conditioning in the water is not a happy thought.
No.
That would be a lot of hard practices.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like there's benefits to both approaches, right? Because when you have a look at these Japanese swimmers, their connection with the water, their feel is just unparalleled, right?
Yeah, I think if you compared mine and hers techniques, like they're completely opposite. Like she's so smooth, but she has like so much strength within the water. But mine's more like I have to be powerful, which is what I got from the gym. But hers is more like strength based. So yeah, I think you could probably like tell the difference, like if you put our strokes side by side, and yeah, it probably show how we train by how we look in the water.
Thank you, Abbie. And Abbie, one more question regarding individual medley. In this previous season of ISL, there's been a bit of drama around breaststroke rules and the breaststroke of certain individuals. Mel Marshall wasn't too happy about the breaststroke of Ilya Shimanovic. I wanted to ask you, do you feel like there should be any rule changes made in swimming for breaststroke, both for breaststroke events and for individual medley, to sort of eliminate that ambiguity? Because now swimmers like Ilya Shimanovic, Molly Hannes, Cody Miller, they look like they're cheating if you look above the water. But when you have a look at the underwater footage, everything seems to be perfectly legal. But how can a judge make it a educated, I don't know, verdict? Watching from above the water, it's almost clearly that he doesn't see everything. Do you think that there should be any rule changes made?
Yeah, I think maybe not rule changes in the stroke. Like obviously, if you said, "Oh, everyone can do fly kicking, breaststroke," it would just make it into a completely different stroke. So, I think the rules of the strokes should obviously stay the same, but maybe definitely being like decisions being able to be made on underwater cameras is definitely something that I think should change. Like it wouldn't affect like me in any way if like people could see my stroke underwater. So maybe definitely doing that, like judges, like when a complaint's made, maybe then reviewing on the underwater camera system, or then being able to watch the underwater cameras throughout, like maybe a judge monitoring that. Just I don't see why it isn't a rule. Because if you can get disqualified from over the top of the water, why can't you get disqualified from under the water? It's almost like you're using it as like a blanket, as like no one can see underneath, so you can kind of do what you want, when obviously that's not fair. And it just causes like drama in swimming. Like obviously the whole Mel Marshall thing, like her like putting stuff on social media, like it wouldn't have had to have happened, and she wouldn't have got frustrated if like judges could make decisions based off what they've seen, because I'm sure any judge who saw the videos would say, yeah, that's illegal in swimming, but they couldn't change it because it was done from an underwater camera. So yeah, I think that is a rule that should be brought in.
I think with the Shamovich bit as well, so a lot of people, obviously when you see him swimming, sometimes his feet are out, which is what you need for breaststroke, but then sometimes as he's approaching the turn, or if he's just like a little bit behind, his feet aren't turned out anymore and his feet are straight, which is illegal, and he sort of does more of a fly kick rather than the breaststroke kick. So if his breaststroke kick stays like his feet are out but his legs are sort of flicking, that's fine, but as long as his feet are pointing out, that is legal. But it's sort of those moments in his race where he kind of changes into a turn and he'll do a fly kick into his turn, or he'll do a fly kick into his finish, and they're the bits I think that a lot of people were getting stressed about, and a lot of other people I think were changing their strokes because they knew they weren't going to get disqualified, and that's an issue. That's an issue definitely for the ISL, and I think that's just something that needs to sort of be either knuckled down on or sort of just edited in the rules, or something, or like Abbie said, using things like VAR to sort of help the sport advance.
And Ilya Shimanovic has a very narrow kick. It's very hard to tell. But thank you for that. And guys, I know you're a busy athlete, so I don't want to keep too much of your time to myself and to our viewers, sadly. But before I let you go, can we do a little blitz with the fans' questions? Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
So how about we go Abbie to Joe? It doesn't have to be too sophisticated. It will be pretty straightforward, okay? All right, here we go. Do you have a pet?
Hey, yeah, I have a dog. I have a cockapoo called Oscar.
Oh, wow.
I have 3 dogs, Milo, Monty, and Charlie.
What kind of dogs are they?
Labrador dogs. All the colours, brown, black, white, labs.
Yeah, that's so cute.
Abbie, what about you? Labrador also, or?
No, it's a cockapoo, so it's a mix of a cocker spaniel and a poodle. So he's a bit smaller, he's very curly and crazy, and he has so much energy.
Distraction from swimming for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice distraction.
It was a lockdown help when lockdown first hit. Milo was lucky.
On average, how much do you train a session?
I don't know, in different blocks it varies.
2 hours.
A big week would be like, it's always like 2 hours. A big week would be like 7K session, and then kind of like a more normal week would be like 5 or 6K.
9 or 10 times a week with 3 gyms, so average.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you say 9 times in the water, 3-4 times in the gym a week?
Yeah, so if we do 4 in the gym, probably do 9 in the water. If we do 3 in the gym, probably do 10 in the water. And then obviously potential for going down or up depending on how the sort of season pans out, but the average I'd say is that.
Okay, thank you. What's your personal preference? Long course meters, short course meters, yards?
We don't do yards.
I really enjoy short course.
Yeah, I'm a short course person, I'd say.
Maybe you can hate long course meters and short course meters so much that you're like, I don't know what yards are there, but they're definitely better than this.
I don't know. When we trained yards in Flagstaff, it was pretty hard. Like, it's a lot of holding, like a lot of breath holding. So I don't know. I think short course is just like the nice in between.
Okay, makes sense. What is your favorite event to swim?
Probably 200 breast.
200 breast? Okay. Joe, what about you?
Yeah.
I'd probably say 100 back, but then I'm currently enjoying 200 freestyle a lot. We've done a lot of work on that recently, and that's sort of coming through as a good event, a good extra event that I've got under my belt. So I'm really enjoying that one at the moment.
I think it's quite like, as in like selfishly, I kind of just love whichever one's going my way, and yeah.
Can I get just a little bit more explanation on the 200 breaststroke? Because for me, that came out of absolutely nowhere. I mean,
no, it did for me as well. It was so weird. obviously I train alongside Molly, but I don't really join in on the breaststroke sets. Like I used to do breaststroke when I was younger. So my PB's been like around like 226 for the last few years, and then yeah, I don't know what happened at Manchester. Like I just kind of tried to like before the race, Dave was just like, oh, like Molly's going out fast, just like stick with her as long as you can. And thinking the race, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna really try and stick with her. And yeah, it just resulted in like a 4-second PB. I felt like an age grouper again. I haven't had a drop like that in years. So yeah, it was nice.
Oh wow. Okay, makes sense.
Got a
Thank
question
you.
from Discord, and they're asking if there's something you don't like about training, like while you're training.
Or what we don't like.
Yeah.
Probably like meters. Like this week's been pretty rough. We've just had 7Ks every session. Maybe more like pointless meters where it's just like easy 7Ks. Like they really grate on me. I don't like them.
You don't like the tediousness of it, the
Yeah.
repetitiveness. Okay.
You've got to do it, but
Yeah, and fly sets I'm really not a fan of.
very
Well,
repetitive at times. It's no insult to the sets we get given, but it's just the way it is.
yeah, we kind
So-
of used to now.
So same for you, Joe. It's sort of the
I think like,
repetitiveness and the.
there was a season where we were doing like 7K average, and I think since then we've kind of got to like 6K average, and then when we go up to 7Ks again, it's quite tedious, and it sort of makes the sort of 5-6K days a lot better than like makes you happy when they come around. So
Yeah, you gave us a 6K treat this morning, and we were all buzzing.
Makes sense. What is your favorite event to spectate?
I think medley because it chops and changes in every leg. The others, like you can kind of see it panning out as the race goes on, but I feel like medley, like anyone could come from anywhere. So yeah.
Almost certainly the breaststroke is going to win.
Yeah.
I think Dressel's 100 IM was something to watch. I think that's
Yeah, that was cool.
Scene. I think that was incredible, the way he just absolutely battered everyone by a good 2 seconds.
It's crazy, right? Because also especially in the 100 individual medley, because the strokes are different and different muscle groups are involved, you don't get the same fatigue you get from 100 fly or 100 free. Or
I think that event's just like behind a few years. I think with the fact that it doesn't really get swam too often, it's only really World Cups where it gets swam at, and there's never really too much at Worlds of people having fully tapered. And then this year in the ISL, it's sort of brought a new light to it, and Dressel's gone, okay, I'm going to take this to the next level. And I think in the next couple of years, you'll see more people sort of dipping under 50, maybe dipping under 50 lows, that sort of time. And I think it's just sort of like Petey did with breaststroke. He's sort of just taken that giant leap, and I think people will follow in the years to come.
There's a lot of big names in swimming that are yet to even do 100 individual medley. It's going to be exciting. I think we might see some unexpected talents arise in a way.
One of those ones that you don't really need to be that good at things. Like, I'm not saying like Manadu's bad at all his strokes, but he's not a great breaststroker, but he's got so much power that he can just power through the sort of breaststroke leg and do really well in the other three.
Yes.
Hey, this guy is a French record holder of the 50 breaststroke.
It's just, that's something he's just got power. Then if one of those hundreds like, but maybe he sort of dies off on the back end. But if you have that power to you, like Morozov the same, he was a record holder before Dressel. He just has so much power and his good strokes. He just sort of powers through it.
Yeah, I think it's the same with the girls. Like Sostrom, like gave it a good go. And then like when I was doing it, it was a completely different feel to the 200 and the 400. Like all the sprinters came in and
Just over so fast as well.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're on the breaststroke.
Yeah, I literally felt like a headless chicken during the race. Like I felt all over the place, and then it was just like done before I'd even started.
Especially after the 4 a.m. probably.
Yeah, it was such a big rush. Like they were on the same day, and it was like flicking from one mindset to another.
Makes sense. Joe, and for you, favorite event to spectate, also individual medley?
I do enjoy watching a good freestyle race or a good breaststroke race, just because they're so stacked. They're always really stacked, and I think the 200 breaststroke is always a good race, and then the 200 freestyle as well. When you see so many people in a final, it's just really good race just to watch.
And relays are good to watch.
Great, thank you. Did you have a childhood idol? And if you did, who was it?
I think Phelps.
Phelps,
Yeah, very standard. Like, it's hard to really look at anyone else.
I think Phelps, and then LeBron James. I think I really enjoy basketball since I sort of mid-teens. So ever since I started liking basketball, he was the reason I like basketball. And sort of LeBron and Kobe Bryant, their sort of look on sport was a different sort of take than Phelps has for me.
Okay, thank you. We've kind of touched base upon this already a little bit, but what is your favorite sport to spectate outside of swimming?
Basketball. I think. Basketball.
Basketball?
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually quite like watching diving. I really
Before you go
get
for
into
F1,
dive Olympics. Hmm?
before you go for F1.
Oh yeah, I've really got into F1 to be fair. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I really like F1.
You. With that being said, this is all the Blitz questions we have, and we'll be wrapping up the podcast. But Joe, Abbie, is there anything you'd like to say to the New York Breakers fans before we finish this?
Break. No, I don't know.
We'll be coming back next year stronger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, thank you. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Our next podcast will happen this Sunday. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be the match analysis of the final. We're going to get one of these per season. So tune in. And our next athlete podcast will take place next Wednesday. Thank you so much and have an amazing evening.